You have one job and one job only.
So, I don't want to sound like a child, but how much longer until we arrive at the halfway point?
2 days, remember? Margaret chuckles, reflecting the amusement I don't want to vocalize.
We still have some ways to go.
Damn.
I suppress my laughter yet again at this pouting response. The gloom we've been under dissipates slightly, like light flickering through the fog.
The first trial tends to be the most difficult. I believe we will only react better from this point on.
Hopefully.
I like the way you think.
Then a gleam enters Bemelé's eyes and he grins.
I think Kika deserves a round of applause. Her quick reflexes are owed the utmost appreciation.
Can we just keep going? I hope we're still walking while we're talking. He leans softly to my shoulder, trying to get me to... what?
It was indeed a sight. You're quite capable.
Okay.
Bemele was also a sight, but for very different reasons. The way he froze with his mouth all agape was a laugh in itself.
Alright. Bemelé shakes a fist at Margaret in mock anger, then shoots me an affectionate look.
You should know, she and I are usually on equal footing.
Okay, I appreciate that.
The only reason you had footing at all is because she pulled you back.
Alright. I feel a little on the spot. I don't like all this attention. Bemelé laughs self-consciously, scratching his head.
That's very true. You can always count on Kika.
Alright, that's enough. I keep my eyes steadily ahead, unsure how I should respond. I am pleased, almost grateful, to hear what they think of me, but I don't know what I could say that wouldn't seem pathetic. Instead, I contribute the best way I can. I keep my focus on the path ahead of us. Yes. Thank you. Without a response from me, the conversation quickly dies out. Still, it eases my heart to be on such friendly terms with my companions. After some time, I notice Margaret isn't keeping up with the guide as much as she was before. I realize it's because the guide has increased his pace. Margaret begins to jog in an effort to keep up with him, and Bemelé and I do the same. Despite this, the guide keeps getting further away. Uh-oh, we go faster and faster, until suddenly, we are full-on sprinting across the slick wooden boards. Figures in the dark fog fly past us at a blur, and it occurs to me the branching paths in the bridge appear to be sinking. I try hard to swallow my rising panic. The guide shouts something, but it's drowned out by the frantic pounding of our footsteps. I'm trying to piece together what he said. Don't, stop, turn? When he takes the masterfully sharp right down a different path using his own momentum in the sleek wood to slide into the new direction with no loss of speed. He's definitely used to this. Margaret must not have worked out the warning either, as she is completely caught off guard by the guide's change in course. She runs straight ahead, past the turn, and continues down the path we've been following up until now. Jesus. She clumsily begins to halt her momentum down the wrong bridge. Then I come upon the fork. Nope. Save. Let's get to Margaret. I keep straight ahead, not making an attempt to go to the correct direction. Bemelé seems to fumble slightly, but stays close behind me, and in delight I inwardly apologize. I come upon Margaret, who nearly runs into me in her efforts to turn around. Her face twists at the sight.
Why are you...
Because you... I ignore her and move to face the other way. The path we came from is disappearing into the water. It's sinking.
We have to jump.
Jump where?
What?
Margaret holds up her hands, but I grab her and spin her towards the path where the guide is on.
Go! We'll catch up.
Okay.
But...
Okay.
Bemelé and I will have to jump together. He needs the light. Just
Go,
move.
go, go. I practically shove her, and without further hesitation she takes the leap. She makes it just past the edge of the bridge, knees buckling as she lands, but is soon back up on her feet and holding her lantern out towards me. She beams with pride. Oh. Fuck. What the? I had an old save here. Save over this file, yes. Okay, return. I encourage her to keep going. I smile back and motion Margaret towards the guide. She understands the gesture, but hesitates, obvious conflict in her eyes. However, she nods and runs after him.
Here.
Okay, I offer Bemelé my hand, tightening my grip on my lantern. Bemelé accepts the offer, giving it a brief squeeze. A tight smile plasters itself across my face as I try to calculate the distance between our bridge and the other. Then the ground starts to shake more.
Jump!
Go! We dash to the bridge's edge and leap. Cold air rushes past my face, winding its fingers into my hair. For an instant, I think I see something moving under the surface of the water. Then we land hard on the wooden bridge. Oof. Emily lets out a sigh of relief as we both quickly get fully back on our feet. Okay, I'm just gonna unshrimp. Oh my lord, ouch.
Stay close. We need to run.
Go, Gadget, go.
I'll be right behind you.
I take off, not bothering to ensure Bemele is staying true to his word. I know he'll follow. The guide's fading light bounces in the distance, a clear signal that he's still running. I focus everything I have on catching up. Slowly, we begin to close the distance. As the night wears on, our strength rapidly fades. Even my stamina is being challenged. I can't imagine what this must be like for Margaret. She's holding her side as she runs, clearly cramping from the exercise. How much longer will this last? People have to rest sometime. Almost as if in response to my thought, the guide abruptly halts. I skid to a stop as well, sliding on the surface of the wood.
Why did we stop?
Is there a checkpoint? Bemele's voice is tired, but his guard is up. The guide doesn't answer, just stares at something slightly out of view. I step up to join him, following his gaze further down the path. Oh, more people. Okay. There, curled in a little ball, illuminated by the lantern's light, cowers a person. His hands grip his head, and he rocks from side to side, mumbling incoherently.
It's a man.
Pause for dog, please. Sorry.
Sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I couldn't. I just couldn't. Please. I'm sorry.
It's a little slow, but the voice acting is top notch. I'm struck with an array of questions. What is going on? Why would he wander out onto these bridges on his own? Did he make it this far by himself? Were there others with him? If that's somehow the case, I can't blame him for the state of shock he's in. The man stops mumbling. He glances above him, seemingly only just now having the strength to lift his head. His expression, the deepest sadness, along with the clear markings of terror, are scrawled across his face. I stare at him in shock, not sure what to do.
Leave him.
Oh, I snap my eyes away from the man and instead to the guide's cold, implacable face.
No! We can't just leave him here. We've managed fine enough already, and these creatures will probably pluck him away as soon as we've gone. Without light, it's certain he'll die.
The voice actor for Bemele, it feels like I've heard him before. But yes, he's right. Let's go.
He won't make it regardless.
My guy, I know you've been alone for the last how many years you've been alive, but still. The guy turns to look at us, his eyes seeming to glow from the closeness of his lantern. For the first time, I feel uncomfortable in his presence.
Whoever shelters him will only risk dragging themselves down with him. Leave him.
I think no. I glance at the others. Bemele is outraged, but Margaret is staring at the man with something like fear. She's uneasy, but she doesn't voice her concerns. What do you know? I'm trying to think of some kind of compromise when the guide speaks again, his voice cutting.
If the man comes, then whoever is shielding him will have to remain at a distance from the rest of the group. Far enough that you can't see me, just my light. That is how you will travel across the bridges.
If the man comes, then whoever is shielding him will have to remain at a distance from the rest of the group. Far enough that you can't see me, just my light. I wonder, because I was wondering from the design of the creatures, the Nixie, they have those, it looks like their faces are crying. I wonder if it's regular people who get succumbed by so much sadness and melancholy that they turn into one of them. And I wonder if he knows. And I wonder if Margaret knows, because she's afraid.
I didn't agree to lead this man. and I won't. If you ask me to, I will leave you all behind.
Oof. I'm gonna quickly save this, please. Over this one. Yep. Alright. Adrenaline surges through my veins and I tense up. It's a painful reminder that the guide isn't here to save our lives. I don't know if that showed on the camera, but one of my cats is here. It's a painful reminder that the guide isn't here to save our lives, but merely to show us the way. We're on our own. That is true. Margaret, Beverly, and I frantically share more looks between each other, trying to communicate without words. None of us have a desire to speak and be the first to make a choice. The man is standing now, though still hunched with his arms wrapped around himself, as if expecting a blow. He stares at the ground rather than at us. Because of this, I'm having trouble reading his face. What exactly happened to him?
Are you well, stranger? Do you know where you are and why you're here?
He looks a little skinny. He glances up, not at me, but towards me. I think his eyes are very distant. His eyes resting somewhere near my collarbone.
I'm fine. You all can go on your way. Forget you even saw me here.
That's absurd. You have no way to defend yourself. We can't leave you.
Okay.
Yes, I'm sure in your eyes I might not seem like much, but that's not exactly a fair shake.
If he's from around here, maybe we should give him some confidence.
Maybe in a perfect world, every man would be as large as you. But that's not how things always go. Doesn't mean I'm defenseless.
Okay. The man's response is endearing. The words themselves seem to be in good jest, but he's still barely looking at us, fidgeting with his hands. Beverly frowns, unimpressed.
It was a joke.
He smiles hesitantly, making eye contact with each of us for the first time.
What part of it was supposed to be the joke? Do you even realize what is happening in this moment?
Never mind. Forget that too. Point is, I'm alright.
You were curled up in a ball when we met.
Exactly. Something must be wrong with you.
Oh no, sounds like you've been talking with my father.
He lets out a weak little laugh coupled with an eyebrow raise, voice trembling. No one really knows what to make of this. I can't. I'm not sure what's happening just yet. The man gives a small wave and begins down the path we came. Beverly huffs, tossing his hands into the air.
That's not even the right way.
It could be,
Uh-huh.
if he's trying to get to the side we came from.
Yep,
He must have come quite a ways if it was the other shore that he started on.
that is true. The man's smile grows.
Good. That's not so bad.
There's no response to this remark, unsure of what could be said.
I still think he should come with us. A person needs a light, and the guide himself said he won't be able to manage on his own. Sticking with us is his best option.
We don't even know which direction he's going to. I look over the man's body, noting the scrawniness of his limbs. Scrawny, but not necessarily lacking in muscle. The bravado he was showing as he tried to leave us has faded yet again, and now he's standing quietly, looking at us as if watching a play. Interest, but no true connection to the events.
It's easy for you to say such things, but whose light are you offering? It's not mine, and you are putting her in even more danger with your own presence already.
Beverly looks at Margaret. She avoids his gaze.
Perhaps I could have let him share my light. Before. But the guide has said the one with him has to remain behind, and I simply wouldn't be able to manage it.
Beverly's hands turn into fists. He looks away but doesn't say anything. For a moment, no one does. I feel a cold sweat on my brow as what I feared comes to pass. He's stopping us from protecting another. Why must he get involved now? Why can he not leave us to make our own decisions?
You. Don't worry about me. I'll be on my way now.
This is all suspicious. The man's voice is full of something I cannot place, and he starts to shuffle back down the way we came, arms still clenched around himself. Margaret might not be able to take him, but there's another way this could be solved. I could stay back with him. I don't feel good about this. It'll put Bemelay and myself at significantly more risk, but at least this man will stand a chance. Do I do the good thing? I straighten my arm out like a rod, blocking his progress past me. He stops, perplexed.
I am not afraid to stay behind, as long as Bemelay can remain up front with you in your light.
Okay. We're divided now. So, me, and then the guy, Bemelay and Margaret, and then, the guide. Wouldn't it be better if the guide was in the middle? The guide doesn't say anything, doesn't even blink. Margaret covers her mouth with her hand, muffling some sort of gasp. Bemelay smiles sadly at me.
One can always count on you, Kika.
The man, meanwhile, stands with his mouth agape, truly and genuinely shocked.
Well, what will it be?
Okay, Margaret sputters for a second, searching for words, but clearly unaware of what to say. Bemelay chimes in before she can get anything audible out.
I can stay in between you and the guide. I don't need to be right next to either of you. That way you won't have to worry about a repeat of what happened earlier.
I wouldn't refuse you being here.
The guy doesn't acknowledge them. He stares at the stranger. The man shakes under the intention.
No, really. I could just go on my own. It's fine.
Says the man who was cowering like 2 seconds earlier. I step closer to him, lending the support he seems to desperately need.
You do not need to go this alone. I will protect you.
Let's go, let's go. The man stares at me. I return his gaze, willing him to see my certainty. There need be no blood spilled tonight. If there's one thing I want to keep, it's that everyone will get to the other side. Slowly, the fear melts out off of his face, replaced with something like resignation, and he drops his gaze to the floor. Okay. Resignation is the second best thing we could get from him, I think.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. I grasp his shoulder and turn to the rest of the group.
You should get a head start, correct? You'll have to put some distance between us.
No! No, we don't have to do that!
Okay.
Yes, we do.
Unnervingly, there's a hint of an emotion in the guide's usually empty voice. Anger. He starts to walk, not waiting for a reply. Oh. Margaret grits her teeth, eyes filling with tears, face flushed. She mumbles something in a small voice, something I'm just near enough to hear.
Why am I always so powerless?
There's one of the roots of her character. Okay. A statement catches me somewhat off guard. Margaret? Powerless? Is there an A or no? She's not a mercenary to be sure, but she seems so certain of herself. Then again, I don't know the reason she needs to cross this lake. Before I can decide whether I should respond, the tears fade from her eyes. Margaret takes a deep breath.
Please be careful.
I will. She takes a few steps back, lingering near enough for Bemelay. Bemelay smiles, first at the stranger, and then at me.
Take care back here, alright? We'll all be together again when we reach the halfway island. It won't be too much longer now.
Hopefully.
We'll have a nice little camp out, and you can properly introduce yourself to us. Maybe even tell a real joke or two.
Okay. The man emits a nervous little laugh and ducks his head. The prospect must not be enticing to him. With the stranger having pulled himself out of the conversation, Bemelay looks seriously at me.
I'm sorry to put you in even more.
Stop.
Okay. Bemelay shakes his head, still smiling.
I don't begrudge you at all.
Please tell me we're still walking
I'm glad you
and
did.
talking. Okay.
All I want is for you to remember that goal. Each of us, together on the island, and then on the other shore, safe. This isn't about what our job is, or where other people need us to be.
I nod in response. Bemelay opens his mouth, then closes it. He swallows hard.
You two.
I'm surprised to hear his voice wavering slightly. He swallows again, then continues.
You two should look out for each other.
That face. Okay. He takes a few steps back, as if to go, but his eyes don't leave mine. Margaret watches Bemele approaching her, gaze flickering from him to me. Then suddenly, she rushes back my way. Margaret flings herself into me, wrapping me up into a hug as crushing as her small, shivering frame can muster.
Thank you for not leaving me behind either.
No problem. I am just steadfast. Then she pulls away, turning around without seeing my reaction. A scent of lavender hangs in the air, though I can't tell whether from her hair or her clothes. You can really tell that this is the most I've spoken in a very long time. This was also the reason why I used to love visual novels so much, because it gave me an opportunity while recording to read and play at the same time. Read out loud, that is, because, well, you can hear it in my voice. I don't talk that much these days. Of course, I speak to my sisters, but they're usually also in school or at work, so I'm mostly left alone at my home taking care of our cats. This is a good exercise. And yes, I am very sweaty because my fans are noisy.
Watch out for yourself too, not just for everyone else.
Gotcha. Also, I wonder what this looks like if I turn this light off, because this was a birthday gift from my sister, and it does kind of match the vibe, I think, of having this light, but that light will fade away sooner or later, which could be very apt, but no, I need this. But yeah, I'll watch out.
I will.
The guide's figure disappears, with only his lantern to lead the way. Bemele and Margaret are finally forced to leave us behind and catch up with him. I watch them disappear into the fog, an odd feeling in the pit of my stomach. I cannot recall the last time I had difficulty seeing someone leave.
You should go after them.
Don't give me that look. I start. I almost forgot the man was there, standing right next to me. Now he looks at me with desperate eyes.
You don't need to do this.
I don't know if he's looking at me like I insulted him, or if he's suspicious of me.
What?
Huh?
I'd rather know you returned to them safe, and that you all had a chance to make it back together. The way they acted, having to go on without you, no one would feel that way for me. I'm not worth it.
Well...
That's not...
I stop, unable to say the last word. Can I claim that he's wrong? This is the one thing he has seemed sure of, and I do not know him. Empty platitudes may be worse than nothing at all. He smirks at my mumbling reply. I'm caught off guard by the change. If only that it seems he's in his element.
It's true.
Look. You're saying one thing, and you're looking this... You look very different from what you're saying. I'm very suspicious of him. Right now, I'm doing this as a duty. This is my duty. Protecting him is my duty. But at the same time, I do not trust him. At all. So, I'm basically keeping my enemies close at this point. He continues to grin, more so to himself than me.
You lot certainly made a scene, huh? That's nice. Being loved and all.
Or maybe he's really just so sure of himself not being worth of anybody else's time. That's also the sadder option. He clarifies after I must have given an undesired reaction to the statement. I am so disconnected with myself, I am unsure if surprise appeared on my face, or if it was a lack of emotion that put him off.
I don't know exactly what kind of love it is you share, but there has to be a bond in that group of yours.
We just met, my guy.
I mean, especially with the long-haired one. You wouldn't look at anyone like that.
He's my co-guard? A friend? He laughs and then speaks quietly.
It doesn't matter. I could still try for the other shore. Go.
Don't do this to me! I will stay. No. No! Balls! No. Load. This. Yes. I will stay. My certainty shocks him. I can tell immediately he has returned to his meeker self. The man starts to speak again, but I interrupt. Okay, wait, I think I'm starting to get this. So, he'd rather take the choice off of me because, and I'm saying this because I had this mindset as well sometimes where I'd rather crush all hope, don't let me hope. So, I'd rather crush that hope myself instead letting it be slowly crushed over time. So he'd rather take his chances by himself because that means that there's lesser chance of him being left alone or being betrayed if it's just him and him alone. If he has no one to hope for or hope with, then that feels safer in his eyes. At least I think that's what's happening. So the fact that I keep saying, no, I'm not leaving you, and he's reacting this way, I think that's proving it. Okay.
We should start walking. That should be enough of a head start for them.
We haven't been walking this entire time. He hesitates a moment, but ultimately begins walking at my side. I'm relieved. I can never be quite sure what will come from this one. We move in silence. The man doesn't seem to want to speak anymore, and he keeps glancing at me, as if expecting something. Yeah, I was right. That is distrust right there. Somehow, his odd behavior is comforting rather than disconcerting. Perhaps it's because he's more nervous about all this than I am. It's putting me at ease, making me feel more capable. I shouldn't allow myself to get comfortable, however. We're in a more dangerous position than ever. The whispering from the lake, so faint after Bemley's close call, now surges forth. It grows nigh unbearable. The creatures teeming below the surface. I dare not speculate on what has them so excited.
Have you a name?
The man chuckles dryly.
Barely.
Barely is still a yes.
I don't really know what I am to take from that.
This time his laugh is more of a bark, quickly out and swallowed back up. Then he frowns.
Lou. Only 2 letters. So barely.
That is still a name. Look.
I see. What are you doing out here without the guide?
Okay, nice. Perhaps the question is inappropriate to ask. After all, only the darkest of circumstances spurs someone to cross sin laws. But the situation is very strange. I might even go so far as to say, it's suspicious. Finally, Kika. I know that's not fair, but I can't help it. Years spent anticipating danger have made me wary. Nope, it's completely reasonable.
That's a good question. I'm not sure I know myself.
What does that mean?
What?
Is that some sort of joke too? Or do you genuinely not remember how you arrived where you are?
No, it wasn't a joke. Or, well, there is a point to it all.
Enlighten me, please. That his voice, already by nature light and airy, drops to a whisper.
But I don't know why I even tried. You'd think that I'd be able to call a spade already, right?
He looks up, noticing my gaze still leveled at him. Then he shrugs.
I'd rather not talk about it.
Okay, that's respectable. As what has become the norm, I don't fully understand what he means, but I can at least guess that he's not very happy with himself at present. And like it or not, he won't be sharing his real reasons with me.
What about you? What brings you out on this little adventure?
Honestly, now I'm starting to get Kika's point. Having him be wary of me is actually kind of comforting.
People. On the other side. People who need my help.
You have someone waiting on you? Then why are you risking yourself on me instead of worrying about what's going to happen to them?
Didn't you just hear what I said? Instead of focusing on the people part, focus on the helping part, people who need my help. I feel my brows furrow from my speck of alarm. Is that really what he took from this? Exactly! I survey his face with a flick of my eyes, but there's no mischievous gleam to his look now. He's serious. We hold eye contact for a moment until he yet again stares down at the ground.
Sorry. I didn't mean to be disrespectful. It just fell out somehow. I wasn't thinking.
It's okay. You're important as well. His stare shoots back up at me, eyes wide.
Of course I'm going to be there for those counting on me. But you aren't nothing. I won't simply turn my back on you.
I already made my choice, my dude. He smiles sadly. The kind of smile only someone who has experienced great hardship has. A smile I'm all too familiar with.
I probably have to disagree. Still, that's nice of you to say.
We may not know each other well, but you wanted us to go on without you for our own safety. You even tried to have a sense of humor about it. That counts for something.
It does. My statement is far from Garand, yet he becomes distinctly bashful all of a sudden, touching his legs with each step. He hangs his head and mumbles his next phrase. Sadly, he seems unaccustomed to receiving praise.
That's true.
Pot kettle.
Thank you for staying back with me. It's kind of nice.
All in a day's work.
No need to thank me.
Oh, right. I can't even show gratitude correctly. Of course.
No! I got to give him a look, but he's smiling. He looks less pitiful than usual. He almost seems content. While crossing sin-laws? How? Why?
It is not funny to make a joke out of thinking that way about yourself.
If you don't want people to say things like that, then you shouldn't reject their thanks. Either I did right by thanking you, or I did wrong.
Fine. You're welcome.
I don't know what to make of this conversation just yet. I'm still gathering my thoughts. This time he lets out a real laugh for a short one.
I'm glad.
Okay. He stretches his arms out in front of him and elongates his stride so he's walking a bit ahead of me. It's just wrong with me. He's relaxed and completely unguarded. He's even fine with distancing himself from the light and all of the odd comments he has said so far. Then a thought strikes me. Maybe the reason he's so calm is that he doesn't care what happens to him. My heart plummets into my gut. Oh. Okay. For a time, there is relative peace in the silence between us. Then Lou sighs heavily.
I never could have seen myself in a situation like this. It seems things really aren't over until they're over.
Did you think it was over?
I get it now. I think. He doesn't answer immediately. When he does, the reply is accompanied by him grasping himself, like he might fall apart if he lets go.
Yeah, I did.
That would have been the normal outcome for a situation. Alone, lightless. I shouldn't have asked. I must have let a frown slip through, because Lou smiles a non-smile. He stretches his hand behind his neck and gives a little chuckle.
Something really is wrong with me. Somehow, I feel lighter.
Alright. Well, maybe this is good. If he's feeling better than he was, then pause for dog.